Well, hello everybody. Good evening and a very happy Tuesday to all of you. Welcome to another night of indie live reading with me, Tim Maloney, your professional narrator, live reader, here to bring the written word to life. That's right, that's what we're here for. That is why we get up in the morning. Okay, I get up in the morning for lots of reasons, but that could be one of them. Very glad to have you all here with me tonight, where we will be kicking off some more live reading of Bigfoot Found by Tim D. Smith. We are probably, let's give it about 2/3 of the way through the book right now, so we have another session or two to go as we continue, which will be good. It will be fun. Now, if you happen to have missed some of the previous sessions, well, I won't hold that against you. I understand that not everybody can make it to everything. And so, uh, what is going on with my connection? Why are you having issues? Anyway, I know you guys cannot always make it to all of the things that I do, and it is okay. Especially with my live reading, I make it easy for you. How do I make it easy, you ask? Why, I go out and I put all of the recorded videos on my YouTube channel. But Tim, I'm not on YouTube right now. Where can I find all of these videos? Well, that is a fantastic question, and you can find them at youtube.com/@SirArminius. I have an entire playlist dedicated to the indie author reads that I have done. Great place to stop out if you want to check out some new authors you may have never heard of, but authors that may be giving very quality work for your enjoyment. So I hope you will stop out there, subscribe to the YouTube channel. It's free. Why wouldn't you do that? There is not a problem with my network. Stupid things. I don't know why I say goodbye, I say hello. You say yes, I say no. You say why, and I say I don't know. Whoa, whoa, whoa. You say goodbye, and I say hello. For some reason, my TikTok stream doesn't want to start tonight. So let me see if I can fix that really quick before we get started. Yeah, it looks like as a whole, we might be having some small issues tonight, but hopefully they will correct themselves momentarily. Either way, we'll survive. We'll make it through. So stop out to the YouTube channel. You can check out all of what I have read already for Bigfoot Found. And you can check out many of the other live reads that I have done for other independent authors. What a great way to be able to support those independent authors by going out there listening, maybe going out and purchasing their books. You know what else you can do? You can stop by the author's website. On your screen in front of you right now, you see a QR code. That QR code will bring you right to Tim D. Smith's website, where you can find out more about Bigfoot Found or any of the other books that he has written. Because is Bigfoot found alone? No, no, no. There are more than one available for your consumption. So I hope you will stop out there and check them out. 'Cause why wouldn't you, right? What better place to be? Alright, let's try this again. TikTok, will you allow me to stream to you today? Check your network. My network is fine. I am streaming to others actively at this very moment. Maybe it's... I wonder if it's because of this. Let me do a thing. One last thing, and then we will get ourselves started. Integration logged out. Very good. Let's try again. Retry. Go live. If not, then we will survive. Yeah, TikTok does not want to let me do it tonight, so we will ignore TikTok. So sorry if you were watching from TikTok. I will not be able to bring us in this evening. Anyway, for all of you, as a quick recap on what this book is about, we have a show that is filming and trying to find Bigfoot. Our main characters have gone out to Tennessee in the hunt for Bigfoot, and right as they were getting ready to leave, a woman was slain on a hiking trail. It's too far to the right. Huh. That's odd. I will try moving that. Let's see. Let me... I'll slide it right into the middle for us. There we go. Right in the middle. That should be a better spot for you. Thanks for letting me know. It looks fine from my side, but what I see is not always what you guys see. So I am happy to put that in the middle. Hopefully that will help you to get out there and find out more about the author. Thank you, Kilometer Smith. Kilometer Smith? Kilometer Smith. It could be all sorts of things. Anyway, a woman was murdered, crushed with a rock on a camping trail. You are very welcome. And one of the crew here saw the aftermath, as the one that reported it, and the sheriff is convinced that it is Bigfoot who has done it, and he has convened a mob to go after Bigfoot. No, no mobs after our Bigfoot. Our Bigfoot is good. He is our friend. So, because of that, they are bringing all sorts of people in with guns and trucks and everything else to try to go and hunt down Bigfoot. And that's where we will kick off tonight. So, as a quick reminder, because you can get all of the previous chapters on the YouTube channel, once again, youtube.com/@SirArminius, it does mean that I record those chapters. Because I record them, I'm not able to chat with you in the middle of a chapter, but you are welcome to put in your thoughts, comments, questions, and concerns. Put it into the chat. YouTube is the best place to do so, but I will catch it across pretty much any of the other channels you happen to be on, and I will be happy to answer your questions in between. Now, sit back, relax, and prepare to enjoy as we dive into another evening of indie author live reading goodness with Bigfoot Found by Tim D. Smith, brought to you by Tim Maloney. Starting in Chapter 24. Billy followed at the back of the caravan, along 68 and through Tellico, the sun beginning to set and casting ghostly shadows across the road, until the procession stopped on River Road. The line of vehicles was so long it was impossible to see the reason. After about 5 minutes of speculation, Billy exited and walked along the edge of the road until National Guard troops and large green transport vehicles parked sideways as a blockade came into view. He almost stopped and retreated to his van, but decided to get details. Tinker stood off to the side and held his cell to his ear, pacing like a caged lion before stopping and waving his hands in animated argument, as several other uniformed deputies stood waiting. At that point, Billy spotted one of the officers that they had interviewed for the show standing near the back of the group. What's up? Billy asked him. National Guard. They won't let us through. This is the weirdest thing I've ever seen, he said. And after looking over his shoulder and stepping away, he added, and that includes us going into the mountains. This is a disaster. Maybe Tinker will give up, Billy said. Not a chance. He'll find a way. Tink gets what he wants. At that point, Tinker put his phone in his pocket and yelled, Let's turn around. Follow me. The comment sent Billy scurrying back to the van, and the procession passed him traveling back toward town. As soon as he arrived back to the van, he threw the vehicle into gear. What's up? Robo asked. Road was blocked. National Guard. Sheriff's got other plans, so we follow. Billy turned to make certain Petra was filming, and, of course, she was. This is crazy, Robo said as the van raced to gain contact with the train of other vehicles. It's gonna be dark before we get going. It doesn't matter anyway. We're not going to do any good. I'm only interested in all of us getting out of the mountains alive, Billy said. I'm wondering if we should just break off and go back to the motel. We've come this far, Gable said. Let's see what happens. So they followed. The road twisted and fell before rising once more as the mountains and shadows blanketed them. With the last of the sun's rays dying, they turned onto a steep dirt road and then crept along what must have been a Native American trail sometime in the past. Deep gullies bounced them off their seats. If they had driven off the road, only rows of trees would have broken their descent and kept them from plummeting hundreds of feet down the mountain. Finally, they arrived at the top, with only one picnic table and a couple of concrete slabs that had probably held fire towers, sitting on top of the world. Only faint specks of streetlights and the glow of Cleveland, Tennessee, could be seen in the distance. Word came back through the caravan that the group would set up camp, a control center, and would leave in 2 hours. The consensus of the Bigfoot hunters was that Tinker thought the creature was nocturnal and would more than likely be out deep into the night until the early morning hours. Billy managed to migrate his team away from the surly group of men they had encountered at the courthouse, picking the most agreeable gathering he could determine. After preparing their night vision and hiking gear, they settled in to wait. Billy pulled a fold-out chair nearest to the men and decided it might be best to make friends. Maybe we'll have luck, Billy told a taller gentleman who, well, he's fit in, seemed an infiltrator, a secret agent, an academic sitting on a cooler. I'm not hopeful, but I'm out of the house, the man said. The others with him laughed. So you don't think we'll spot anything? Billy asked him, smiling. I don't really know, the man replied. We might, another prodded. You don't know. I do know I've never seen a Bigfoot. I've been out in the woods for the majority of my free time for most of my life. Another hunter chimed in. I've never seen a chipmunk, but they're in the woods. This man was definitely comfortable in his own skin, and it was clear this was the usual banter between this group. He spit tobacco juice through his 2 front teeth and cradled his rifle as comfortably as a woman holds the least of her 6 children on a cocked hip. They've been captured, too. A Bigfoot hasn't. Bigfoots are shy creatures, Billy said. The first man smiled. Obviously, he said. I've never seen a carcass or skeleton either. They probably get eaten. Creatures eat bones and even deer horns, the second hunter said. Have you ever seen a bear skeleton? Well, no. I've never seen a rat lion in the woods either, said another of the hunters. I have, the first said. I know they get eaten pretty quick. Turkey hunters see them all the time. The horns are still lying around during turkey season. Have you ever seen a human skeleton out in the woods? The second hunter asked. Again, no, the first raising his eyebrows. I just think at night your mind can really play tricks on you. I was hunting one evening, and as usual, I got out of my stand and it was already dark. Right then I heard something crashing through the woods, literally breaking trees. It wasn't footsteps, I have to admit. It was one of the few times I've been frightened in the woods. Of course, it was in bow season, and there I stood with only my bow. It couldn't have been a bear, and I thought the only thing it could possibly be was an elk. They're so rare here, though. Oh, what happened? Billy asked. I mustered my courage and flipped on my light. I thought for sure I was going to have to shoot something. It was a cow. She went on by, crashing through the brush. The group laughed. Have you guys ever seen it on one of your expeditions? I mean, really? The men had recognized them and said nothing. Not on an expedition. Not that we could be sure. Bigfoot's out here, though, I'm sure of it. Well, we're not going to be doing knocks and calls, the hunter told him as he stood and retrieved a bottle of water. We're going to be knocking down those trees like that cow did. You'll know an hour before you get there, Billy thought. People were moving. The group was already walking into the deep woods. Instead of walking in a single file line, Tinker had decided they would split apart and form a long wall of people to flush the Bigfoot out. Maybe the sheriff thought Bigfoot would only follow the trail. It was a stupid proposition, and before long, the men were no longer able to traverse the hillside, full of brambles and brush and impassable. As easily as Tinker was navigating the dark woods, he had difficulty believing the rest of the group would have any trouble. He was dead wrong. They did manage to walk the better part of 2 miles before taking a break, though. Robo and Rink were navigating. They were almost certain the mountain where they had parked was on Buck Bald. They attempted to follow along with GPS. Meanwhile, Petra was struggling to film and still remain upright. As solid as she was in every way, she was struggling even though she said nothing. Sensing that this was nothing more than an exercise in futility, Billy realized they had had enough. He told his group they needed to rest. The notion was popular, and before long the entire line had sat down and leaned back where they were. If it was a general strike, it was a good one that brought the trek to a halt, and that was what brought Tinker to them. They heard his angry footsteps and words before he came into sight. He would not have made a good general. His troops would have abandoned him. Do we need a break already? Tinker asked as he neared them. It's been a long night, Sheriff, Billy said as he stood. Petra had leaned back and closed her eyes. Her equipment lay strewn around her. You and your team have night vision. You haven't found Bigfoot. We plan to. That's probably why you haven't found him. You're too soft. I don't think you'll get anywhere close to him, Billy said. He'll know. He'll know? Tinker smirked. He'll know all right. These boys are going to take him down or run him out of town. Okay, whatever. This is your circus. I'm just one of the clowns. I've got an idea. Why don't you take your team and head on back to town? Don't go with us. In fact, it's not a suggestion. Get the hell out of here. If Bigfoot in fact didn't commit this crime, maybe one of you did. We don't need suspects tagging along. One of us? Yes, one of you, Tinker spat. He looked at Gable, who, despite the accusation, seemed to not even notice. So, bye. Tinker, a mad dog ready to pounce, glared down at Billy. You have no idea what you're doing, Billy said as he turned to grab his backpack and leave. We don't, do we? Tinker said with venom as he followed Billy and stood behind him as if he might shove him to the ground at any moment. Billy sensed the man behind him and turned to face him, and now he too had a look of vengeance on his face. His eyes narrowed. You, Billy said, don't know a damned thing. Robo walked between them and stood staring at the sheriff at eye level. We'll be going, Sheriff, Robo said, smiling. Good luck to you. Tinker turned and stormed away. He could be heard telling the men to march ahead. Their investigation would proceed. Come on, gang, let's go home. The men disappeared ahead as the Bigfoot team gathered its belongings. You good to go for a bit, Petra? Rink asked. I feel better now. Let me carry some of this stuff. Me too, Harrison said. They began to walk back to their vehicle, this time strangely silent, weary, and defeated. A mile later, they stopped to rest once more. Fatigue had won this battle. As they sat recuperating, Petra dozed, like Stephen, her head tilted toward heaven, peace wiping clean her face. Rink worried about home. Billy worried about the show and their efforts to find Bigfoot. Robo's mind went blank. Harrison dreamed of commercials and fame. Gable sat with the look of a man who had nightmarish memories of tragedy that would not leave him, no matter what manner of mental tricks could be applied. Robes, Billy whispered. Listen. It was as if the summer-baked hillside had been blanketed with snow, shrouding them in utter and complete silence. Heat goggles, he whispered again, this time almost as if he was holding his breath. Robo scanned the forest and then put on his night vision. That was when he heard the sound, too. Footsteps, and then silence once more. Then the rustle of leaves. A twig breaking? Anything? Billy asked him. Robo was silent for a moment, and then said, Nothing. From far away they heard a knock. Answer it, Billy said. Robo raised his walking stick and struck a tree, sending an echo down the mountain. 10 minutes later, still bathed in silence, they walked again, this time all the way to the top of the hill, back to their vehicle, and then to the motel in silence, defeated. I don't know why my streams are having issues tonight. Just gonna be one of those nights, I guess. Just try to see if I can up the signal at all here. See if that will help. You never know. Strangest things happen around here sometimes. And maybe that will help my signal. Yeah, the antenna going to my Wi-Fi, which is downstairs, and don't know why. I don't know why you say goodbye. I say hello. Let's see. Let's do this. Let's knock that one off of here. We'll knock out some of the extra ones that are not needed for this. And get ourselves down to our base one so that way we are getting our good views, everyone. Sorry about any slow connections that you guys may be seeing. I'm not sure why my stuff is having an issue tonight, but every once in a while, the internet is just that way, right? It decides to be difficult. Because why not? It worked on Blazing Saddles. Yeah, definitely some issues tonight. Le sigh, le scream. Sorry, all. Don't know why it's giving issues for us tonight, but we'll make our way through. Even if you were having issues seeing the stream at all tonight, just know that the recorded videos will still go through just fine. And so you can always stop out and catch those later on as you need to. Yeah, I mean, I'm getting just crappy stuff through my fiber optic at the moment. I don't know why. It is just not good. So I don't know what the issue is, everyone, but we will survive, okay? I believe in us. I believe the children are the future. Because why not? All right. I don't see any questions out here, so let's go ahead and kick it back off with our next chapter. Again, if you guys are seeing any issues and you're having any problems watching it tonight, know that the recorded videos will come out just fine. Because those all get recorded locally, of course. So, apologies if you are seeing any kind of issues. Let's go ahead and kick off our next chapter as we will move into Chapter 25. Robo heard the Bigfoot knocking and saw it standing beside a tall fir as night fell. The beast was bent somewhat, like he might have been self-conscious of his height, and his arms hung down toward his knees in a posture suggesting he'd lost direction and didn't quite know what to do next. The creature's brown, forlorn eyes burned into him, and then he knocked over and over, louder and louder still, until the entire tree shook and swayed. Robo opened his eyes and realized that the pounding was at his door. A voice came from the outside. Robo, open up. It's me, Billy. All right. Whoa, take a chill pill, dude. Robo swung his legs out of the bed and considered finding his pants before discarding the idea and staggering to the door as he pulled his hair behind an ear. His mouth tasted like something a cat had left behind. When he opened the door, Billy, carrying an armload of maps like a survivor in a zombie movie, pushed by him and went directly to a small, simple table that sat conspicuously by the nightstand. "I've got it," Billy said. "Come here, look." Robo tried to clear his eyes and could only muster the energy to flip on the bedside lamp. Billy slung open the curtains, and sunlight lit the room better. "It might actually work," Billy said as he studied the maps and then, after realizing they were upside down, flipped them over. "We park here and climb this mountain. Looks like it's steep. Climb it and head to the falls. You know, about here near the falls. Let the Teleco boys do what they're doing. If I'm right, they might herd the Bigfoots down to us. They didn't even think of this. I don't believe." He pointed his index finger at the opening of his mouth like a pistol as his lips pursed in thought. Robo's foggy brain began to clear as he realized the plan. "Dang, you might be right. We can park there?" "I don't know, Robes. I think so. Oh, we can try." "You tell the others?" "No, I wanted to tell you first. Think it will work?" "It's worth a shot. Can I get a shower?" "Absolutely. You need one. I may take one too," he said as he began gathering the maps. "I'll meet you in the restaurant. I've got to tell the others." As if another idea might have dawned, Billy continued. "Oh, and we have to avoid the National Guard," he said. Robo smiled sheepishly. Billy headed for the door before stopping abruptly and coming back yet again. He grabbed Robo's arm. "We're on again, big man!" Billy made for the door once more before returning even another time. "Oh, and thanks for standing up for me and preventing me from being pummeled and probably going to jail." Robo had to smile. "Any time, boss. It was my pleasure." The impedance of Flo's hospitality slowed the team, but not much. To say breakfast was quiet, otherwise, was an understatement, the result of exhaustion, lack of sleep, and a dose of discouragement. Billy's eyes watched an invisible path along the recent past, a plan of action impossible to read. Sensory overload, the nose-to-nose with Tinker, the murder, the guns, and of course, Ed. "We're off to film, Ed," Billy said when the man answered at 4 a.m. on the West Coast. "Why are you calling me, Billy?" "It's big. We're trying to get past the National Guard. Local authorities have pretty much closed everything down. We're doing our best to be safe." "Be safe," Ed told him, more coherent now. "Did they figure out who did it?" "They think it's Bigfoot." "Holy shit! You've got to be kidding." "I know what you're saying. You think Bigfoots are not real. You're thinking this is one big case of mass hysteria driven by backwoods folks who have collectively lost their minds." "That's exactly what I'm saying." In his mind's eye, Billy could see Ed smirk, probably sitting on the edge of the bed right now, his glasses secured. "That's not exactly what I think. Bigfoot is real. Someone killed that girl. But they may flush a Bigfoot out. That's why we're on today's mission." "Are you filming?" "Of course we are. Everything." "This will be the biggest rated show in history." Ed was excited. "We'll do a super fast turnaround. I'll have this on the air within a week. We're set." "Ed, if we get in trouble, I need to know you'll give us support. We might get thrown in jail if we get caught, and if the sheriff thinks he can get away with it. I think he probably can." "What do you mean?" "I mean, he doesn't want us around this. He doesn't want his actions on camera." "Don't get caught, then." "It's not that easy." Tomb-like silence pounded in his head, and Billy almost asked if Ed was still on the line. "Be safe." The connection could have been the approach of a shark. Ed was no longer on the line. By the time they departed on their mission, the interior of the van was like a sauna that smelled of hotel soap, Harrison's cologne, and moisturizing lotion. One couldn't expect to have dry skin and search for Bigfoot. "He'll know an hour before you get there." News vans sat parked around town, and in front of the Bear's Den an interview was being filmed. They were the lone vehicle driving past town and toward the falls. Word had gotten around that the road was closed. After finding a place to pull to the side, the team unloaded quickly and found a spot to disappear into the woods. It was almost too easy for Billy's liking. From his experience, nothing ever came easy. They began to hike, leaving a trail of Harrison's sweet scent. They did not follow the beaten path, but instead climbed a steep hill littered with shale and limestone boulders, gray like the face of a cold corpse. Robo resorted to hoisting himself by grasping trees. Petra balanced her gear, and Harrison finally relented and helped with the load, his fresh smell finally replaced with the odor of sweat. By the time they crested the first hill, and with belligerent blue jays fussing at their presence, their knees were caked with pungent, dark loam and dried leaves. As the sun passed overhead and began its descent, they continued. Late in the afternoon, they finally heard the river. "Less than a mile," Billy said. "Should we rest?" Everyone, either from exhaustion or pure indifference by that point, shook their heads. "Next stop, the top of the falls." "Oh, yeah. You go, Billy boy. You go." Yeah, it's still having intermittent issues, it looks like. We will make it through, ladies and gentlemen. I believe in us. I believe the children are the future. All right, let me check around, see if we've got any questions from anybody. Questions, comments, concerns. No, no, and no. I don't see any. So, let us continue, shall we? As we will kick off once again. Yes, definitely some internet issues tonight. I don't know why you say goodbye, I say hello. All right, let's get started with Chapter 26. 911, where is your emergency? We're on Willowbrook Drive. There's a family of Bigfoot in our yard. A family? Teresa asked. She had been on duty since 7 a.m. Her anniversary was tonight, and she was ready to have a steak and a beer. Not even the Bigfoot family Robinson was going to keep her at work this evening. They're walking now. Which way are they going? She asked as she covered the phone with her hand and keyed the radio with the others. Control 1, 100. They're going toward the river. It's a daddy, a mama, and two young'uns. Do you want to speak with an officer? I reckon not. They went into the brush. They wasn't waiting around. The radio sounded. 100, go ahead. I'll tell the officers, she said, and hung up. 100, call me. She answered when the sheriff called. Hey, we just got a report that a family of Bigfoot walked through someone's yard. You want to send someone out there? Good Lord, the crazies are out. I know. This is about number 7. Listen, we've been hiking here all day. I don't have the manpower to send somebody down there. Do they want to speak with someone? He said they walked into the woods. Right on. 1098. No contact. Okay, thanks, Sheriff. No problem, the sheriff told her. What time do you get off? 7. It can't come soon enough. This has been one long day. Got plans? I actually do, she said. Too bad. It's my anniversary. Okay, take care. Teresa took a call for a fender bender. She liked her job, but knew there had to be something better than this. Short chapter. Do-do-do-do, do-do-do-do, do-do-do. I hate it when things ain't working right. I don't likes it. No, I don't. It don't make me no happy. See now, you hear? And I don't know why my internet is so bad at the moment. It shouldn't be, but it is. Let me go and check one more thing right quick. I'm going to put us on Be Right Back, and I will return momentarily, everybody. Give me just 1 minute. All right, sorry about that, everyone. Let me see if that helped. Maybe, maybe not. I guess we'll find out momentarily. That might have helped. I guess I'll find out. Give me one sec, get my breath back. Ran downstairs, checked the internet. But it looks like our fiber optic may, as a whole, be having issues. Which is, of course, what you always want when you're doing live streaming. Why not, right? Why not for sure? Well, I guess we'll run with whatever we have, everyone. Hopefully, it will be working okay. And if not, once again, if you are having an issue here, stop by to youtube.com/@SirArminius later on, and I will have the recorded chapters uploaded to YouTube as long as my YouTube connection is working. So we'll get through at least a little bit more tonight. But if this connection issue doesn't fix soon, we might have to make it a slightly earlier night than normal. And my apologies if that is the case. Sometimes you just can't help technology, right? Can I get, is my live up? YouTube is not receiving enough video. Yeah, that's never good. I don't know why. Da 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 da. Everybody was kung fu fighting. Them cats were fast as lightning. In fact, it was a little bit frightening. Those cats had expert timing. All right, guys. It looks like my connections are not actually going to stay connected. I'm watching them bounce up and down as it's trying to do its thing. Give it just a moment. Let me see if it stabilizes here. If it stabilizes, we might be okay. If it doesn't stabilize, then we may just be out of luck. It looks like it should be stabilizing here. But is it? All right, well, let's try one more chapter and see what happens, shall we? Because I want to do at least one more. That would be great. All right, let's do one more, And one way or the other, it will get recorded, and we'll go from there. So, let's get one more going for us, shall we? With Chapter 27. The Bigfoot team couldn't prevent the crunch of leaves and twigs, nor the soft whisper of their boots on pine needles, but otherwise they were a silent train, weaving around the firs and ferns that leaned at curving artistic angles as if searching for dying rays of sunlight. We're going to go do it different this time. Silence. Bigfoot will come to us, Billy had said and kept his word. It was so quiet, in fact, that as they rested, Billy could hear the mewling cries of Robo's empty tummy. The team hadn't stopped at the falls. They trudged past and later climbed a few meters beyond a small knoll that created a bunker where any creatures passing would have to crest and be exposed before realizing the team sat waiting. No film, Cable mouthed to Petra as they sat below a daylight sky that bled to death between the gaps in the canopy of trees. Film what? She mouthed back. Whispers? What we're doing now. She rolled her eyes and shook her head. A trail cam was mounted at the top of the hill, and if the bright light of its flash split the blackness, she would spring into action. Until then, she needed to rest, and Billy had insisted that all the electronics were to be squashed. No heat sensors, no phones, no night vision. Nothing. Billy and Rink leaned against a fallen fir with soft moss on one of its sides above a bed of musky, sweet, leathery scented vegetation. With the slightest breeze flowing over the top of the hill and playing with Billy's light hair, only the faintest fragrance of something resembling the aroma of cat piss spoiled the ambiance. Rink leaned slightly toward Billy, and her breathing slowed and whispered out into the darkening evening. He tried to let his eyes adjust and focus on the tiny specks of starlight visible through the trees, but clouds had begun to cover the sky. By the time daylight passed away, not even a firefly disturbed the ink. When Billy heard the howl, the hairs on his arms and the back of his neck stood on end. His pulse accelerated, and he actually heard the stiffening of several team members who also heard the call. It sounded as though it echoed from the top of the ridge, only further down. They waited in silence. An hour, then 2. Nothing. Rink, you awake? Billy whispered, unable to see her in the darkness, even though he thought his eyes had adjusted to the light. Only the faintest of tree outlines was visible. I think I am, she said after a moment. Not a whisper, but her voice, low and gentle as if it might have been speaking to a spirit or sprite. She had slumped over and was leaning fully on Billy, and she didn't move. We've sort of divided into these factions, he said, still whispering, but lower and more slowly, into Rink's ear. I think Gable is by himself. 12 o'clock, against a tree. Billy had been trying to make out the team, in the murky nothingness, as he did his best to stay awake. Everyone was exhausted, mentally as well as physically. Robo and Petra are at our 2 o'clock, he continued. Harrison is at our 9 and is snoring a little, if you listen closely. Indeed he was, like a small bullfrog, and Billy imagined Harrison's chin and neck expanding and contracting, green, wet, and shiny. The others asleep? She asked, as if a conspiracy to steal away had been hatched. Gable and Petra for sure, Billy said, the actual smiling sound of his lips crinkling the comment. Robo? No. I would imagine he's groggy. He's not snoring, though. Silence stole over them, then, and a leaf could be heard settling onto the ground. What are we doing, Billy? What do you mean? I mean, we're out here in the woods, sitting, waiting. This is how we're spending our time, our lives. We know a Bigfoot didn't murder that girl. Were you awake? Billy asked. When? The howl. No, I didn't hear anything. We heard a howl, Billy said. Billy, Rink began, and then waited as if she was measuring her speech. You know what a coyote sounds like. Wolves. All animals. You want to find Bigfoot so bad. Maybe it clouds your judgment. I do my best for that not to happen. I know you do. You believe. We haven't seen it, and if anyone could see it, it would be us. We've tried so hard. I need proof. Do you believe in ghosts? Spirits? I don't know what I believe anymore. Rink wasn't taking the bait. Then that silence again. It was worse than whispering. The conspiracy was beginning to fracture. It was Rink who decided to murmur again. Life is fragile. It's so, Rink said.